Hello and welcome to The Game Plan. I'm Paul Jodka, joined by former England hardman James Graham. Thanks for joining us, James.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's going to be a day where we talk about three big name forwards who are switching clubs for the 2024 season. Let's talk about someone coming back from over the Tasman in Josh Curran. He's going to your old club, the Bulldogs. He'll be a versatile fit for coach Cameron Serrata. Talk about the different ways he gets involved in the game.
Yeah, really looking forward to watching him play in a Bulldogs jersey. He brings so much energy, and let's have a look at what he can do to the best defensive team in the competition last year. He's not just all barge and crash and wallop and all that sort of stuff that we usually associate with the middle edge forwards, because those players, they're a little bit different, the ones that can play on an edge and a middle. Watch this speed and this recognition here. He sees that there's space in behind the ruck and takes advantage of a slight opportunity that Penrith present. They don't present many, but he's got the smarts and the ability to get in behind the ruck, recognises where there's some space, and causes a line break to a usually impenetrable defence in the Penrith Panthers. That's where the support players, people like Matt Baird and Josh Addo-Carr, are just going to love playing with a guy like Josh Curran. Look at that, the acceleration beats Spencer Leniu with his footwork, his speed, his agility. Josh Curran beats him for speed. Look at Spencer Leniu here, a high energy, speedy style of middle player. You don't expect him to be beaten, but it's the line and the football knowledge of Curran. See how he just steps a little bit further in? Just watch his slight movement here off his right foot. Spencer Leniu's about to initiate contact and he goes again. Very difficult thing to do, very subtle, difficult, but he gets the benefit from it.
And then we've got here, obviously against the Dragons early in the year, but he's playing more of a middle in this instance.
Yeah, well, this is the usual style of shape that we see many teams put on when they're coming from this sort of field position here, and a lot of the time the middle forwards, they're there, they just sort of make up the numbers, and the idea is that the attacking team, in this case the Warriors, get the ball over to their strike players over on an edge. But let's see what happens when Josh Curran recognises that there's an opportunity in front of him. So Johnson drifts across, one player comes out the line, and it's that confidence between Josh Curran demanding the ball, he'll recognise it there, but also Sean Johnson knowing, well, instead of getting the ball out here, I trust Josh Curran's going to come up with something. If I drop him underneath, he senses that. A lot of players here would get the ball and just come into tackle, initiate contact, but watch what Josh Curran does. He goes into the space, gets rid of Ben Hunt and accelerates. He doesn't go into contact, and it's a natural thing for a middle forward to want to do. So again, watch Josh Curran here. A lot of other forwards would go into Ben Hunt. They would go into, like what he did with Spencer Leniu. See how he didn't go into Spencer?
Yeah.
He went in and away.
Yeah.
Well, he does exactly the same thing here. So he doesn't go into contact. He goes into space and accelerates. So let's just have a look at this. See how he almost looks to go to Ben, but then he goes again. It's really intelligent from him. Difficult thing to do, and almost unnatural to do as well, because naturally as a middle forward, edge forward, you want that contact, but he doesn't, because he's got the smarts and the nous to go away from that. And what it does, in both occasions, it leads to line breaks.
Yeah. And then another one here where it looks like it's just going to be a hit up.
Yeah, this is just coming out of your own end, not much doing. The Warriors put on a little bit of shape, and I think this play is just designed to move the ball a little bit. It's not a play that's designed to come up with a line break.
Yeah.
But let's see what happens in this instance.
And the Bulldogs have players like Kurt Mann that can play that Dylan Walker role.
Yeah, there's plenty of players at the Bulldogs that can play that role where you can look to shift the ball out of trouble. And with Josh Curran off the end of that, him on maybe one side, kick out on the other, it's just a huge bonus for the Bulldogs. But I want to just take you back and just have a look at this, because a lot of people at home probably wouldn't appreciate the level of skill to draw and pass in this instance. So let's lead to the line break. Let's see what happens. Now, for most people in this situation, anybody watching at home just thinking, well, it's pretty easy. But you've got the hammer here who is very good at assessing these situations. You've got lots of Dolphins players in chase, in retreat. You just think, we'll just draw and pass. So maybe ideally Josh Curran would come to this side of the hammer and that traditional draw and pass, but it's smart fullback play. So he's put him in a bit of a funny predicament here, and a lot of players would naturally pass the ball early. If he passes too early in this situation, the hammer goes from Curran onto the centre, and then I think he's probably got Marcelo Montoya covered as well. But let's have a look at what Josh Curran does, where he goes into the line, so that stops the hammer from chasing. But if you go back a couple of steps, what the hammer's trying to do is to move from Curran onto the outside players of the Warriors. So he wants to almost spook Josh Curran into passing early, which then gives him the opportunity to go and chase these guys down on the edge.
He would think having a forward running at him, he could probably make that move.
Exactly. So don't be confused by the headgear and the forward and the long locks. He's actually got a great football intelligence. So let's watch what happens at the back end of this. I want you to imagine this, the hammer being there in chase. Yeah. Let's just imagine that the hammer wasn't involved in this contact. He does turn and chase eventually. Let's have a look what happens there. So he's turning, he's chasing. Look how close he actually gets to Montoya. He actually makes the tackle.
One more step.
And these are the subtle differences that happen at the very top end of our game. So I want you to imagine Josh Curran passes here. Then the hammer doesn't get involved in that tackle. Just watch what him having the ability to hold, and pass at the final moment. So the hammer is then into the tackle. Great work from the hammer. He turns and goes. But if he wasn't involved in that collision, if he wasn't held up by Josh Curran, he makes that tackle on Marcelo Montoya.
Yeah, it's no try. Probably tackled into touch.
He tackles him into touch, or he contorts his body and gets underneath the football.
Yeah.
Those are the small details, because scoring tries in the NRL can be so difficult at times.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for Josh Curran, the Warriors don't score that try.
And Josh Curran, defensively, he's one of those players who can find himself still around the ball, even when maybe you wouldn't expect him to be. Like, here's some examples, I guess, of this.
Yeah, well, here he is. I think he ends up out in the centres in this situation, but he just makes the play. So there's been a reshuffle due to injuries, whatever it may be. He's here defending outside Sean Johnson. Now, a middle/edge forward, what are you supposed to do in this situation? But he just comes up with the play, which is infectious, and teammates appreciate that. That's a great classic legs tackle for a guy that's out of position, probably looking outside, wanting to look in, looking for some help. They try and isolate Johnson. He comes up and saves the day. And this is great work from Josh Curran, applying pressure. No half gets an easy day out when this guy's on the field.
He's not close to the half either here.
No, this is a huge effort. This is almost like a 15, 20-metre sprint on last play. I think with his new Bulldogs teammate in Toby Sexton, that is. So he applies the pressure and then goes again, chases, regathers the football, complete momentum changer. It's great work from him. He goes from the inside to out, gets the charge now and chases again. That's Jaden Campbell he beats for that ball. That's Jaden Campbell. He outcompetes and wins that ball. You've got a foot race here between Jaden Campbell, one of the quickest players in the competition, and Josh Curran. Yeah, he's got an advantage in terms of his body shape and his starting position. But is there a fan out there that will back Josh Curran in that situation?
Not against Campbell.
Not against Jaden Campbell.
Yeah.
The guy is electric.
Yeah.
Let's have a look what happens. Like, he
desire.
outcompetes him. Even there, you'd think Campbell would kick and go,
yeah,
but he just manages to find a way. How infectious is that? That's the type of person that you want to play alongside. Yeah. And that's what the Bulldogs are going to need if they're going to be successful next season.
Yeah, Cameron Serrato type.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then we've got here, I mean, coming up against a guy like Nathan Cleary, this is probably showing from Curran's point of view that he's done a lot of video work, knowing that, okay, there could be a kick on here. Am I going to stay part of the game? Yeah,
well, you've got to come up like any good defensive unit. You'd want to come up. You can't wait for the kick,
yeah,
or Nathan and his Penrith Panthers teammates are just going to take advantage of it. So let's have a look. Josh Curran comes off the line, anticipates the kick, turns and goes, and Nathan is aiming for the posts. This is a horrible situation to be in for that middle forward. Really, is it his job to turn and chase? Some may argue yes, some may argue no, but usually that's the fullback's ball. Yeah. But he goes above and beyond. He gets his face in the picture. It takes a horrible ricochet off the post. this is a front row's middle's worst nightmare. You're lucky to even catch the thing. The last thing you want to see is it ricochet off the post. But he's got his frame, his body in the frame, the numbers in the picture. That's some coach language. They want to see people around the ball, get enough bodies, enough numbers around the football, and we'll clean up those scraps. Don't give it to a Penrith player to get there. You guys be there first. If there's enough Warriors jerseys or next year Bulldogs jerseys around the football in that open contest, you'll win more often than you lose. And that's great work from Josh Curran. It just shows that energy and that care factor to not want to concede cheap tries.
Can't wait to see how he goes.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Great stuff. Thanks, James.
Thanks, mate.
For all the NRL game plan videos, you can simply go to nrl.com.